senses. Everything is amplified. Even the ear, nose, whole body is amplified. Amplified consciousness required to go there. Ganesha is representing a beginning of it to figure out, are you limited or unlimited?
Mr. Venkatji, so would you not say about Ganesha and all of these things, also from culture and society, but there is something that need to be discovered by oneself? I say oneself, but we know that I'm not talking about in the normal sense. So, that's also cultural and so forth, and but there is something that to be investigated within one's mind.
Yeah, Judge, I think it's a very important question you raised. Knowledge that forms a limitation. There is a knowledge that is limiting. Is there any knowledge that will enable you to cross the limitation? That's a key question, right? If culture give you the answer, right? If the culture give you an answer that will free you from your own shackles, that's all it is. If it is like a virus and an antivirus, you have a virus coming in your system, okay, limiting your computer functions, put an antivirus. It can, take this away. If a culture or a spiritual path or a teaching can reverse this limitation, the same knowledge forming limitation, use the same weapon, reverse it by counter knowledge. Oh, there you're free.
I think the question then is going to arise that which one is knowledge and which one is not really knowledge. Which one are we? The one that we are professing, right? Is that knowledge, or is the cultural thing that we have imbibed knowledge? Because, and I think Jaja was pointing to the fact that that is the value of that. What is your lived experience? I mean, I like what Ashish does in these rooms because he's constantly trying to point to a lived experience. And what I find is that, but most of the time we are dealing with ideas which we are so fascinated by that we don't really focus on our lived experience. And so here we have to ask this question, when we speak about being limited or unlimited, that is this idea of being unlimited some sort of a cultural construct that we have taken to and been completely conditioned by, to the extent, right, that we, because it can only mean two things. If I am looking to be unlimited, that means I don't value my human experience. That is what it means. And I am trying to get away from the human experience that I have. So then the question that one has to ask is, that is my lived experience not a human experience, but some other experience? Because a human experience, let's say my experience, is certainly an experience of being limited. And that is why it has a value. We spoke about all this earlier, because this is exactly, the limitation is exactly what gives me a human experience. So I always fail to understand that why is it that we always try to want to somehow run away from that to something else. Why are we always so scared of this this reality that faces us? Why are we always trying to be someone else that we are not? Why do we escape? We escape into idealism. We escape into our ideals. Why? to me, it's only because we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to see who we are here and now somehow, but we value all these ideas, which are just ideas, finally, right?
Okay, I just want to say let's finish the conversation line. And Dipti, thank you for the question. It's a very beautiful question from the perspective of the living and then knowing kind of thing. I would say that way. But I like to give a chance to new speaker as well. So let's finish this conversation, and I don't want new people to wait too much actually to speak. So Venkatji.
I just counter. I think Deep brought a very good point here. See, look at our own growing up. We are, there are two kind of knowledges: knowledge of the world and knowledge of the self. All the while, from the first grade, even the kindergarten, all the way, it's about the knowledge of the world. That's the only thing taught in the school. Right from every subject out there, where in one place knowledge of the self is ever taught. I think that's a fundamental why we are dealing with this, because it's essentially captured knowledge. Our senses are outward, and all that which is dealt with is arising from this domain, knowledge of the world. If you're good in manipulating, there are capabilities are created in you that is useful for the society. All that is done in the order of survival and growth, personal growth, professional growth, etc. Now, where do we go from here? The whole domain of knowledge of the self is never been dealt with. So you want to go from limited to unlimited. Where do we go? I think then we deviate from the title of the room. It's the domain. How do we go from limited to unlimited? Maybe the title of the room. We can go there. In the domain of knowledge of self, figuring it out right from the beginning. Is there any non-sensual experience within you? The five senses versus what is available within you, which is non-sensual. The presence within you, the existence within you, consciousness within you, available, without senses, without touching. You don't need to touch yourself. No need to smell yourself, scratch yourself, see yourself in the mirror. You can recognize your own presence without any senses. Figure it out. That's where the knowledge of the self starts. If we can go there.
Yes.
And yeah. Look at it.
Only thing I'm trying to say is, Venkat, is why would you, in the first case, even want to assume that self is unlimited? You have already made up your mind before you have actually investigated. Before you related to your lived experience, one has already decided. And this is a very, very common thing. It's not about you, it's a very common thing that I see all the time, right? Because there is such a cultural construct, okay? And these things have been dealt with very, very in a lot of detail, and because Ashish also wants to close the room, so I don't want to, this is a very long conversation, but you see, it has something to do, for instance, with our own fears. It has to do something with, it has to do with something of our own, Karen, you're unmuted.
I'm sorry. I didn't even know I was sorry.
No worries. So it has something to do with fear. It has something to do with our, our awareness of our mortality, which we want to deny. It has something to do with a lot of these things. But in any case, what I'm saying is that yes, I agree with you. We are not taught anything about the self. True, and we should be. But why does that have to be this unlimited self right off the bat? What is?
I mean, Deep, it's just cultural conditioning. But if you have a wise father and a wise mother, I mean, they're gonna raise you up honestly, religiously, or at least with a spiritual attitude about the mystery of life. And it does come down to your environment in many ways, Deep. And again, I mean,